and gamepod.co.uk. We've got a situation where it says 0% chance of rain, but look at the track. We've got tons of rain, so God knows what's going on here. Provisional poll says at the moment it's Ryan on a 139.0 in wet conditions. I'm Peter Markroft, and joining me here on Channel 2. Originally we were on Channel 1, but things have changed at 11th hour. Either way, we are here, and you can all watch us for the rest of the next 2 hours or so. I'm Pete Markroft, joined by XRL Roberts. Good evening.
Good evening, Pete. Well, today is going to be a very different qualifying session, I must say, to say the least. But currently, as you've mentioned, we have Ryan on pole, but things can quite easily change.
Yeah, exactly. Things could change by the second. I will advise you all that because of the late channel switch, I do not have the ability to use the chat box, but Bollocks will. And you can also send messages directly through Xbox Live to either myself using the Game Attack switchphone, or of course you can send them to Bob as well on XRL Bollocks. Now, I'm interested to see if any of these guys are going long and have fueled the car so they could last for a long period, trying to set multiple lap times. The conditions don't look like they'll improve, but then again, we've seen stranger things like that happen over time. Ryan's now down to P3. In P2 at the moment is F1 speed on a 38.9. That's pace from nowhere, because he's not usually been the one with the greatest of pace. And then in the lead, BHA Captain Wader, also on a 38.4.
Yeah, I think quite a few of these guys actually have fueled it for at least 5 laps. Captain Wader's definitely on a second run at the moment, and I think he's already improving. He's coming down towards the Dunlop hairpin right now.
But in the meantime, Sick Harry's out on an outlet on the lap. He's not set a time as yet. Time seems comparable with that of BHA Captain Wader. He's at a 106 as he comes up to the corner just before the DRS zone on the back straight. No DRS due to the conditions of course here. So we'll stay on board with Sick Harry, drive for Williams, see how he does here. Deployed all of his curves pretty much. A little kick will be left for outside of the Coca-Cola hairpin, and to come into this tight, twisty 90-degree chicane here, where you've got very limited traction at the second corner, and in conditions like this, it must be absolutely horrible.
Just to give you guys an update, my Twitch app is actually down at the moment, so if you are sending any messages, just give me a minute or two and see if I can get it to work again.
That's right. I'm not sure how many people are watching. It's currently showing us a big fat nothing, but I get the feeling that might change as the race goes on. Now, the Pied Piper 27, he's also on a lap, but he doesn't look very fast. Coming onto the Dunlop hairpin before the 54 seconds, so not looking that great. John Digweed, though, he's on quite a competitive lap here in the Ferrari. He's coming onto the Dunlop hairpin around at the 44-second mark, so that's pretty much on par with the front runners we've seen so far. Very, very solid pace from him. Oh, gets poor traction in the middle of the Dunlop chicane, though. Really finds it difficult to get the power down as he's coming on the inside into the Schumacher S's, and he kisses the inside apex and the outside. So being a brave man there, John Digweed attacking the apexes and the curves despite the wet conditions. And again, this is a bit of a strange one. It said 0% chance of rain, and yet we've got the track completely soaked with rivers. So when the track says what the percentage of rain is, who can trust it? None of us really know. But John Digweed coming on to the penultimate hairpin, ultimate chicane, gets in, heavy on the curb. The raised bollard on the inside, almost like a sleeping policeman, nearly spun the car because of the conditions, and into the Coca-Cola hairpin. Once again, it turns into sharp and gets a lot of drift on the outside, but the time was quite competitive. A 37.9. Good enough for pole position at the moment. Great lap from John Digweed.
That's come from absolutely nowhere. Now, that I was not expecting.
Well, it looked like it was a competitive coming off the Dunlop hairpin. That time was about consistent with BHA Captain Waders, but during the Dunlop hairpin, we saw a lot of loose traction. During the Coca-Cola hairpin, we saw a lot of it, so it's amazing where it's found that pace. Pure straight line speed. Speaking of Captain Wader, I get the feelings going into the box here. Indeed, he is. So he decided to get out. Connor Kay's gone back as well. Now, moving forward, Ryan is out on a lap. Not sure how competitive this is. 48 seconds at the start of the Dunlop hairpin. Oh, it's going to be touch and go as to whether he improves there. I don't think it's going to be a good one.
I think he's gone off in the first sector somewhere. I think he went wide at turn 1. So I think he's aborted his lap, and well, let's see if he's got enough fuel for another lap, or he might just box him for a fresh set of wets and probably put 5 laps of fuel and do a couple of runs maybe.
Sam, is that what your strategy would be in the wet conditions? Would you want to be out there for more than 1 lap, getting yourself the chance to get the rubber in, get the best of the conditions, get the tyres up to temperature?
If it was me, on my first run, I would put 5 laps of fuel in, do a couple of laps, just get used to the conditions. But when it comes to the end of the session, I'll just make sure I've got only enough fuel for 1 lap, just so I can have, get the best out of the tyres over that 1 lap performance, and just, kind of a risky strategy really, but that's that's kind of just the way that I take it, really.
Well, in 8 blocks, sending me a message via Xbox Live saying that he thinks F1 Speed will qualify 6th to 8th. Well, the conditions seem to be lighter and the rain is slackening off. I don't think we'll have enough time to get the intermediate tyres on here, but the conditions might reduce the rivers to the best amount, and it's purely about having the best grip at the best time. I remember back in about 1998, I believe it was, Giancarlo Fisichella ended up getting pole position at the A1 ring, went out of nowhere at 4 seconds faster than Damon Hill, who'd set the provisional pole time. It's all about having the best conditions at that time. Now, riding on board with Viscassin in a moment, he's very bit twitchy, going through the corner at the start of DRS straight, almost goes into the gravel there, lost a lot of grip, into the kink that was serving part of the DRS, over the rivers, getting lots of moisture in those tyres. Let's ride on board through the chicane, brakes very, very early there, not confident of the curbs, definitely being wise, avoiding those sleeping policemen on the inside. As we head to the Coca-Cola hairpin, is there going to be any improvement here from Viscassin? Looks like it's going to be touch and go, goes a little wide, almost uses the AstroTurf. This looked pretty good to me, a 1:38.3 provisional P2.
Great response from Viscassin. I think he improved by nearly a second, I think it was, on that lap. So good effort from him. And, well, let's see if he's got any more fuel to do another lap. I mean, there is plenty of time. He can quite easily have a cool-down lap and save the tyres for one more run. But, you know, everybody else will be getting used to the conditions themselves and could quite easily improve.
Oh god, Crazyfish1234 says he's going to be sending quiz questions throughout the stream tonight. If we get time to get through them, we'll do our best. But the first one he's asking, who was the first driver to win a Grand Prix using a semi-automatic gearbox? Well, the Williams were the first ones to start using the semi-automatic gearbox way back in the early 90s. So you probably put your money on it being either Nelson Piquet or Nigel Mansell, as they were the ones who were the pioneers of the semi-automatic gearbox.
You've just taken the words right out of my mouth. You know, I hate you for that.
Well, F1 Speed, meanwhile, going through the chicane at the end of the lap, gets on the inside of the curb, almost hits the inside sleeping policeman. Doesn't look like it's going to be a great lap as he goes around the Coca-Cola hairpin, but he will have time to send another run here, and he gets a slight improvement. A 1:38.4 goes provisional P3. So evidently the track is getting faster as the rain has started to stop. Now, do you reckon anyone in the back of the field will take that gamble and try and put the intermediates on and leave with about, say, 2 minutes 10 left and go for a anything goes lap? I mean, if you're someone in the back of the field, is it worth it?
At this, I think, well, with 3.5 minutes to go, I mean, it's very touchy. There is a dry line actually starting to appear out of the Dunlop hairpin and up the hill towards the Schumacher Estes. So,
speaking of Connor Kay, he's going a lot faster than he was doing. He's now hit the Dunlop hairpin around about the 46.5, 47.0 mark. So he's definitely got a lot of pace there. He can keep it on the island. He could also be the one who sneaks up towards the top of the charts. Going through the Schumacher Estes, gets plenty of power down through there. No problems at all for Connor Kay. Going a lot faster than his stream, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just looking for where I am, it looks like he's getting a lot of heat coming off those tyres, unless that is actually spray. But I think it is worth a gamble on the intermediates if I was at the back of the grid right now.
Well, I mean, looking at they're still getting rivers on the track though, aren't there? There's still quite a lot of puddles, so if you've got the intermediate tyres, you're unlikely to get much grip out of those. So it's a question as to how brave you are. If you are dead last right at the foot of the field, it might be worth it. Well, let's see how Connor Kay goes. He wasn't a 38.6 and he improved 37.8, pole position. I told you, like, he had a lot of pace in that car. This is going to be a case of last man over the line will be the one who has the pace here. The F1 speed is falling off. He's not going to improve on this lap, but he will have time for an extra run. BHA Cappenwaiter, meanwhile, he's got it all to do at the McLaren. He's just gone down the RTL straight, heading into the fourth chicane, gets on the inside curve, gets a little too much grip, surprisingly, has to get out of the gas as he understeers almost off the track. Got his teammate getting totally out of the way there. Good driving from the McLarens, making sure they get out of each other's way. And Cappenwaiter appears to be on a flyer here, hits the Dunlop chicane, the Dunlop hairpin, right at the 47.0, heading up to the Schumacher Estes. This was pretty competitive.
Just to give you an indication, his teammate has actually gone off twice because he's on the intermediate tyres and he's actually struggling to keep it on the track, so it's definitely still wet conditions.
According to this, actually, according to Crazyfish, it was actually Nigel Mansell who was the first one to win the semi-automatic gearbox in '89. Apparently Ferrari had it first, that's interesting, something I wasn't aware of. But meanwhile, going back to the streams, Innate Blocks also got involved, and he says, how many stops do you reckon it would be in the race? Well, having raced in the F1 division as far as you did, what do you reckon would be the optimal strategy around a track like this in the 50% distance?
Well, if it's a completely fully dry race, you're going to be expecting at least
BHA shatters it at 36.9 to take pole position by a long way. Connor K is coming up to the Coca-Cola hairpin now in the Lotus. Can he respond? No, it's not. It's not going to improve. 37.5. It's not enough, but he's got time for one more run. Moving back, we've got Ascassin who's about to start a lap in a Mercedes. He'll have one chance. He's got to make it count. F1 Speed, meanwhile, he's not going to improve, I don't think, here. He's at the 31 at the Coca-Cola Heaven. Oh, he almost went into the wall. They're going to go into the pits. He's spun the car. He's spun. He's hit the wall. He's lost his front wing. His qualifying is over. F1 Speed has caused catastrophe there. And the yellow flags will also mean the driver's got to be careful. Then they're not going too quickly, or else their lap times may get deleted by the game.
Ryan's on a flyer. He's coming up across the start finish line. He doesn't improve. He's had a corner cut. He either got
a corner cut, or because the yellow flags were going, he might have had his time deleted. Sick Harry, meanwhile, in the Williams. He's starting the lap now. There's no more time. Guys will come over. Ryan was pretty much the last one over the line. The track grip should be optimal, so he's the one who's got the best chance. But we also saw VHA Captain Waiter, F1 Speed, and also Connor go over the line with about 10, maybe 15 seconds to go. So those guys, barring F1 Speed as spun, of course, will have the great chance here to really improve. Now, I'm going with Sick Harry in the Williams, coming up to the Dunlop hairpin. Time looks pretty competitive. He's currently around our 45, might just be slowly off the pace by about a second here. Moving further up the grid, Ryan, however.
Captain Waiter's coming across the start finish line now. He's going to improve yet again. It's a 36.5 for Captain Waiter.
That's a real gauntlet thrown down. Ryan, meanwhile, he's going through the Schumacher S's. Last weekend fell on the wrong side of the stewards and carries over a big penalty here into Germany because of corner cutting. One of the things that the stewards across all divisions of XRL are watching out for. So he's got to try and keep it clean here. He's currently in P6, but you'd expect he's got the pace in that Ferrari to get it a lot further, and it looks pretty competitive so far as he goes down the back straight towards the chicane near the end of the lap.
Ascassin's going to be a real danger here, coming to P4, coming to the Coca-Cola hairpin at 1:30. This is going to be an improvement. Will he snatch it from Connor? Oh, he's half a tenth down. He goes P2.
Ryan's really close, but he's got a bit wide of the Coca-Cola hairpin, and that's compromised his entry. When he runs for the flag, this is going to be very close. A 36.3. He takes it. An Irish blue gunner went out on the intermediates. He's currently doing a 2:10. He's definitely not improved. The gamble's certainly not paid off.
Ryan's got a 10-place grid penalty.
What's he done to earn that on reduced rule? Is the question, isn't it?
Has he impeded somebody or caused an incident?
It's hard to know. Meanwhile, which driver holds the record for the shortest ever Formula One career? I believe that's Perry McCarthy. Hey. Who drove for Andrea Moda.
You didn't beat me to that again, in God's sake, man.
Perry McCarthy actually, he technically has the shortest career because he actually he didn't actually qualify for any of the races he was in. In terms of qualifying, though, I can give you one. Here's a bit of trivia for you. Which team is credited with having the shortest ever race distance?
Shortest ever race distance?
Yeah, as in the shortest distance completed in a weekend even.
Oh, in a weekend, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh God.
This is where you're really an F1 anorak if you know this one.
I know. I'm not even going to bother. The other ones that may have known, but this one I have no clue on whatsoever.
But the answer for that would be actually the live W12 team. They managed only 400 metres in one weekend once, would you believe?
400 metres, wow, that's probably the length of maybe, from...
Interestingly, it's Marco Apicella who was actually the shortest career. Crashed out the first corner and retired from Formula One. Again, I dispute that because I'm pretty sure Perry McCarthy covered the less distance when he drove for Andrea Moda. And it's raining in the race now, that's interesting.
Wait, it's intermediate start, not wet.
And it's 100% chance of rain, we know that, it's raining. So it's hard to know. Oh, interestingly, Ryan wants me to join a party. Now, I'm curious as to what he has to say, so what we need to do is get in cage chat if you can, tell them not to start. I'm curious as to what he wants.
Yeah, that's fine. No worries.
So while we just wait for, obviously, Bobbers, for the drivers' meeting here, obviously Ryan wants his comments to find out exactly what's going on. Ryan, what can we do for you?
I got that grid drop because the pipe impeded my lap and I couldn't really slam on the brakes to avoid it.
Right, I mean, the only thing I can advise, if you can please raise that after the race, it's not something we should be raising while we're streaming live, because it can compromise and prejudice the review.
I just thought.
But that's cool, no worries, mate. Enjoy the rest of your race.
Right, cheers.
Well, in the meantime, someone has run it up without our permission. Not sure who that was, so we're going to have to get straight onto the grid.
I know who it was.
I will note their name down and make sure they get a penalty then, because I'm pretty sure that's in the rules that you can't do that.
Yeah, well, we found out why Ryan had a 10th place grid penalty, and it wasn't his fault.
He reckons he was impeded by one of the other drivers. Again, that's something that has to be discussed after the race.
That driver did agree to it. He did say he did.
Well, in the meantime then, let's get ourselves ready on the track then. BHA Captain Wade starts from pole position. Really good performance from the McLaren. It'll be interesting to see how these guys go. Now, well, we are going to be here for a 50% distance race at the Nürburgring. It's 30 laps, so it's still quite a long distance. And with the rain, it's going to be a question of whether it gets heavier or gets lighter. Once those 5 lights go out under wet conditions, we will be racing. And it's lights out. And away they go. Heading out to the start, BHA Captain Wade has a very good beginning there. Behind him in the Mercedes, meanwhile, it looks like pretty good at the inside. Go, BHA Captain Wade has to be careful, make sure he didn't jump across one of the Williams. Has just tapped Connor there by the looks of it. He's got away with that. Connor manages to avoid having any serious incident, but there looks like there's a bit of coming together at the back of the field as Cassin brings in second place. Connor Kate is indeed in third. Then for Williams in fourth place, we've got Sick Harry, who's done quite well off the start, and the 2 Ferraris are lying astern in fifth and sixth. John Digweed and Ryan, despite that penalty, is already up to P6 and threatening the back of his teammates. So good driving at the start there from the Ferraris.
That's a fantastic start from Ryan. I don't think he could ask for anything better because he doesn't want the 2 championship leaders who are 1 and 2 at the moment to get away from him, and he's already having a look at his teammate on the outside of the Dunlop hairpin.
He's thinking about going around the outside, but there's no grip on there. We don't really have the simulated karting line on this game, but you can definitely see a John. Oh, he's not going to wait though. Look at that! Opportunist guys on the inside. Can he go around the outside of Schumacher?
Wow.
Yes, he can. He finds the grit to hang on there. We saw our school Andy do that last year, and evidently he's been doing his revision. Meanwhile, Ryan is down. Oh, John Digweed spun. John Digweed got no contact whatsoever and goes off. Ryan goes on to P4 as a result of that. Meanwhile, behind, John Digweed's under big pressure now. As he has to F1 speed in the Sauber, who pulls out the slipstream going down the DRS straight towards the chicane. The F1 speed realises he's just not going to have the grip to get through there, but Digweed goes wide at both corners. F1 speed gets a bit of traction. Looks like he may have got close to the track limits there. F1 speed was on the inside of the Coca-Cola hairpin. John Digweed goes wide, but F1 speed isn't able to capitalise. John Digweed stays fifth for now, as Ryan starts to chase up to the back of Sick Harry, and then Connor Kay, and at the front, BHA Captain Waiter.
Well, the Mercedes of Jordan has had a terrible start as the Sauber has just taken the ball out at turn 1, and I think that was F1 speed.
It looks like he's gone off the track as well, lost a lot of places, as Connor Kay now looks at the back of his Cassin in the Mercedes, who's trying to keep in touch with BHA Captain Wader. But Captain Wader's already got a bit of a gap there, maybe about a second already, and the track, I don't know if it's just me, but it's not kicking up much in the way of spray, and the rain is not falling. Is it going to stop, or is it going to get heavier?
I think the rain, it seems to be getting lighter at the moment. I mean, it just looks like a very constant drizzle. I mean, it's not going to be wet tyres for, well, either quite some time or even at all during this race. But right now, these intermediates
Irish
are
Blue Guys got a run here on Motorsport Newark, who got a little wide at the Dunlop hairpin, going up the hill towards the Schumacher Asses. And Irish Blue Guys trying to use the curves to catch up to the Lotus. Indeed, Motorsport Newark goes wide at the start of Schumacher Asses, almost goes off the track. Irish Blue Guys fancies a chance around the outside. This will be brave, but Motorsport Newark sticks it on the inside. Oh, meanwhile, the contact from Irish Blue Guys back at the Williams there. One of the Williams stuck it on the inside. That was the Pied Piper. Almost took him out there, but good driving to be able to keep that on the island. And Jordan now in 10th place goes on the inside of the king. He's around the outside line for the hairpin chicane. Definitely not a good place, but at the same time, Pied Piper breaks early, and Jordan gets that move done. A critical pass for the Mercedes driver.
Connor Kay is all over the gearbox of the fellow Mercedes driver, Scassi. He's having a look down into turn 1, but I think he's just too far back. Oh, he's gone on the brakes very, very late, as the bollard is thankfully off the track, actually. Not in the way, but he's having a look into turn 2.
The start of the Mercedes arena, and you can see that Connor Case, he's more confident on the grip on the inside of the track there, and they're already starting to see a little bit of a drying line despite the rain falling. Well, that's deceiving if you've never seen it before. Connor Kay trying to get close to the back of his Cassin, but meanwhile he's got to be careful because Ryan is now all over his diffuser, having had a 10th place grid over Ryan. Oh, lag! A little bit of a lag spike, but gets away with it, doesn't lose any track time.
That was a scary moment. I thought he was going straight into the gravel then.
Looked like it, didn't it? It ain't what we mark. A question for both of us. Who had a chance with Ferrari but never got the drive? There's 1,001 drivers that answer can be. You could argue for Nico Hulkenberg. You could also argue as well that Mark Webber, because he passed on it to go and drive for Porsche in the Le Mans. Yep. Meanwhile, LGS corrected me saying it wasn't Andy who went round the outside of the Schumacher S's, it was him. I'm pretty sure I saw Andy made that move as well, but fair enough, LGS. I also recall you making a similar move yourself, so I'll credit you with that one. Meanwhile, Connor Kay in 3rd place, trying to get closer to the back of his Cassidy. Got a poor run down the DRS straight, but Ryan is also looking at the back of him too. All these three drivers all over each other, and Ryo in front. BHA Captain Wade is going to be loving this, because these three drivers being all over each other, wrist tripping each other up, damaging the wings, and crucially not making the end as Connor Kay goes wide at the Coca-Cola hairpin, and that gives Ryan a chance with under the slipstream down towards the very first chicane, the Yokohama turn.
So he's holding a dummy looking on the inside.
He's doing a little bit of a brushing contact there, and Connor goes slightly off the track. I think Ryan may have realised again a little bit of an advantage there and decided not to capitalise, and he's hanging on for the Mercedes arena to have a go at the back of Connor in the waters there, as Ryan just seems to be getting held up a bit now by Connor. Connor seems a little more squirrely and lacking control and poise. So Ryan now looking to get a good run towards the Dunlop hairpin. Great opportunity here, and he's definitely got the traction, but we've also seen that Connor Kay has been able to drag performance from the car to hang on. So it's going to be a question as to whether Ryan's got the patience to sit behind the Lotus and ensure that he doesn't destroy his tyres.
Yeah, out in front though, Captain Werther, he's the only person lapping in the 35s at the moment. He's clearly liking these conditions, and well, he's got a bit of a gap over Gaston in second. He's just got to basically keep it clean, keep it safe, and well, this race could be his for the taking.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, I don't know what's happened to Sick Harry. He's all the way down. Evidently, he's had to change his wing after that collision when he spun out, and that's put him so far off the field. Now he's going to be struggling to score points today. But Connor Kay has now actually got a potential run on his Cassid, but he's also got Ryan, who actually has fallen back behind him. I'm not sure if Ryan made a lunge and might have it pull off. So a bit of breathing space for Connor Kay now as he attacks his Cassid, trying to get down towards the Yokohama hairpin. Lighting up the rear tyres, Connor Kay trying to get traction out of the car and the stopper service, and he's definitely got the high speed turning, but I think he's got a problem where his car's not as good out in the slow speed turns. And a place like the Nürburgring, with the likes of the Coca-Cola hairpin, the likes of the Dunlop hairpin, you definitely need that traction out of the corners, don't you?
You certainly do. I mean, it's not just the traction that you need. You need the front grip. I mean, you just need a decent aero balance, which I actually know for a fact what Captain Ware's setup he is using, as he told me just before we started. So the aero that he's running is actually very suited to the wet weather conditions, which is what's given him this advantage over the rest of the field.
Well, Ryan's now closer to the back of Connor Kay, so we've got three drivers who again lying astern, and BHA Captain Waiter, he's trying to do the Sebastian Vettel approach here, pull away from the pack, get a gap and manage it while everyone else tries to trip over each other. And when you're in the rain, that's actually very easy to do, as Ryan goes very out of shape.
Captain Waiter got away with that. He went wide at the right hand and coming onto the DRS straight, and he dipped his tyres into the gravel, but he's got away without spinning the car there. Very lucky boy.
You can see that he's visibly lost ground though, hasn't he, to the likes of his Cassidy and to Connor Kay. That gap's definitely dropped down by maybe half to 1 second. So BHA Captain Wade has got to make sure he keeps his nose clean here. It's so easy to get that tunnel vision and then find your way off. Now, Innate Block says the answer to his question is Kamui Kobayashi. You're actually wrong. He did not have a chance to drive for Ferrari in F1. What he turned down to go to Caterham was an expanded run in their Ferrari 458 Italian Le Mans team.
Chris knows his stuff, do not argue with him.
Conor Kay, meanwhile, trying to get close to the back. Oh, Piper 20 has retired. Well, that's a bit of a bizarre one. He was at the points. He was keeping his nose clear. A bit bewildered by that one. Try and get him in here so we can find out what happened.
I will do.
So Ryan, meanwhile, goes through the fourth chicane, heading out towards the Dunlop hairpin. Definitely got the opportunity here with the crowd. Pine, well, what happened there? You seem to be running into the points, and the next thing we know, you've retired.
Yeah, I was getting really bad lag with everyone else for no reason. Didn't seem anybody else was having a problem with it.
So you had lag problems. Was it like, were you having like cars lagging into you, or were you getting complaints that you were lagging?
No, I was getting problems where everybody else was lagging around me. Nobody else was having lag with anybody else. I was just getting it, and everybody else was all over the place, and I didn't know whether I'd done anything. I know I lag bubbled somebody off, so but it's better that I retire and stay out of everybody's way and not ruin anybody else's race, and just come back next time.
Yeah, I mean, we did see that in the Formula 1 race where the same thing happened, so it's a bit disappointing because obviously you would have fancied your chances in the race. Moving on to the Hungaroring then, do you reckon you got better chances there?
I'm probably a bit better around the Hungaroring than I am here, but I'm looking forward to the races beyond that. At Spa and Monza, I'm a lot stronger there than at Hungary.
Okay, well in the meantime then, sit yourself down, pull up a pew, put your feet up, get a cup of tea, give yourself a chance to enjoy the rest of the race. In the meantime, you can actually see BHA Captain Waiter's gap has really decreased all of a sudden. Conor Kay has slipped a little away from the back of his Cassin, but not too far. BHA Captain Waiter, though, meanwhile, he really, I don't know if he's struggling, but all of a sudden, that gap has visibly decreased.
It has. He's spinning up his rear tyres quite a lot. I mean, I've been on board with him now for the last couple of laps just to get my bit of my reporting, but he's definitely struggling coming out of the very slow corners, especially into the Ford chicane and the Dunlop hairpin, and I think it's getting to that point where he may have to pit for his first stop soon, actually. He just doesn't seem to have the grip anymore.
Right, Crazy the Fish 1234 has asked a question that no one's going to come up with the answer to on the fly, unless you're Peter Sauber, saying since they came into Formula 1 in 1993, how many drivers have driven for Sauber before the end of the 2002 season? As I say, if you ask that in any kind of pub quiz, you'd get slapped. Meanwhile, apparently, in A-Block's now saying his answer was Nico Hulkenberg. Well, we said that as one of the potential answers anyway, so either way, we win. Now, as Cassin has closed up a lot to Captain Waiter, and Conor Kay has slowly fallen away from the back of us, Cassin, and into the clutch of Ryan, who I think's actually diving into the box. Indeed, he is. Ryan's dived in on lap 7. Well, that's interesting. What's he going on? Well, that's high. Let's ride on board and find out.
I'll have a look.
Well, I'm in the pits now with Ryan. He's currently changed on, and it's another set of intermediate tyres. Would you expect them to last 7 laps, or would you expect them to go longer than that?
Well, it's a little bit surprising. I mean, if we go back to the F1 race when they were running the option tyres, I mean, you know, Fearless was the first one to pit after 7 laps on the options, followed by everyone else suited afterwards. But just looking through a few people are struggling quite a lot. I mean, Ryan's teammate, John Digweed, he's really struggling for grip on his tyres, and I think he'll be pitting in next lap. I mean, I think Ryan had first call simply because he was the lead car. But that does surprise me. I mean, if you just look at Ascassin, for example, who's closing in on Captain Waiter, his tyres seem to be in a lot better condition.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? You know, it's all about how you control your pace and how you control your tyre wear and get things moving forward, don't you? It's very easy to find your setup being more aggressive on the tyres. And you can see that Cassin really is closing hand over fist. As we've lost Ryan! We've lost Ryan. The lead Ferrari is out of the race. We're down to 9 runners and riders here at the Nürburgring, and all of a sudden that's really changed the course of the race. Ryan was looking very strong indeed. He will be gutted, and I think it's best that we get him in here for his comments on that. Needless to say, that's another retirement as BHA Captain Waiter has lost too much grip. He goes for the box as Cassin is staying out. This is game on because as Cassin was definitely enjoying his grip. Ryan, I mean, we saw you have that grip penalty, find yourself way down, recover from the start, and then obviously all of a sudden we saw you drop out. Was there any sign your connection was going to go at any point?
No, I didn't actually lose connection. It's just put me in my own lobby on lap 8, same as everything.
Oh, so you're in your own lobby?
Yeah, I was just racing around in my own lobby.
Oh, that's the last one. But that glitch has happened before. I remember it happening in one of the GP2 races I covered. I can't remember what race it was. We ended up having to do a restart with a random grid over it because of problems. It might be Spain. Yeah. So it's definitely something that can happen. Massive commiseration because your pace, before you stop, looked really quite consistent and powerful because of the way it started. So did you feel that a podium position may have potentially gone begging today?
Yeah. It's one of my stronger tracks as well, so I just wanted to get the pole position, which I did, but would really put me back a bit. But for the first lap, I thought I could close everyone in. But it wasn't happening, but it's unfortunate for me. 30-second penalty carried my favourite tracks, but it's alright.
Well, I mean, so we're moving forward to the Hungaroring. Is that a track where you'll expect the same kind of success?
Yeah, it's one of my favourites. I was doing good last year in GP2, so hopefully to do the same.
Okay, well in the meantime then give yourself a nice time to sit back and relax, get your feet up and enjoy the rest of the race.
See you later, bye.
Well, in the meantime, BHA Captain Wader, who went into the picture in the lead with only marginal difference between himself and his Cassin, and both him and Connor Kay are in the pit. So right on board with BHA Captain Wader as he heads for the Coca-Cola hairpin. Ahead meanwhile, John Digweed's got into the box, and so has F1 Speed. So this is a dash for the line. Has BHA Captain Wader undercut everybody here? Leaving only just leaving their box now. This looks like it's going to be a big gain here. Riding on board with second place in the moment, who is Cassin, and that's a gap of at least, 2 seconds potentially there. A big time loser from that Cassin.
Yeah, him and Connor have definitely lost out to Captain Wertes. He increases, I think that leads around about 3 seconds now as soon as they come out the pit, so he's definitely got everything in his hands now, but the problem he's got again is even if he does put the quickest laps in, he doesn't have the consistency compared to the guys behind.
Well, in the meantime, while we were talking to Ryan about his end of the race, meanwhile, John Digweed's in 5th place with Motorsport Nerd in 6th for Lotus, and then in 7th we've got Jordan, so these 3 guys are all quite close together. We'll stay here for now to watch a bit of ding-dong action. LGS actually sent an answer to the Salma question. He's gone with 12. Well, I know that Jean-Christophe Bouillon was one. We also had Andrea de Cesaris, Nick Heidfeld, Felipe Massa, Kimi Räikkönen. There are a few of the names I can think off the top of my head. Whether it's the right answer or not, I don't know, but Crazy Vision has responded, so let's see what his response is. Oh no, he's here's an easy one for you. I'll let you answer this one. Who punched Eddie Irvine after the 1993 Japanese Grand Prix?
Well, say that again, sorry, switch your legs for me.
Oh, did I? Okay, here's a question. I'll let you answer this one. Who punched Eddie Irvine after the 1993 Japanese Grand Prix?
Oh my god, you know what? I actually don't even remember that. That's complete. I don't even remember that at all.
Oh, come on. It's one of the most obvious pieces of F1 trivia in the world. Meanwhile, Jordan Kay gets the line up in the meantime of Motorsport Nerd. Gets on the outside before the chicane, but he's dealing out braking power. Yes, he is. He misses the chicane. So Motorsport Nerd, he will have to give that place back. Indeed, he does. Jordan Kay, outbraked himself big time in the wet there. Luckily, didn't take anybody out and didn't really gain any advantage. So do you have an answer for that one?
No, I do not. I can't believe I'm going to be saying
Oh dear,
that.
Tot. The answer was out at centre. After Eddie Irvine had the temerity to unlap himself.
That's it. Now it's all right.
Now here's a question. I'm going to ask this one. This is one for you, Craig Fish 1234. At the 1981 German Grand Prix, who did Nelson Piquet punch?
I'll let him answer it.
Oh, Sig Harris destroyed his vehicle, and I think we've got a safety car. What happened there? I get the feeling I know what's happened. I think he's done a David Coulthard at the Adelaide Grand Prix in 1995 and got straight on into the pit wall, but that changes the race, and out in front, you get the feeling BHA Captain Wade will be slamming his steering wheel of frustration, having done everything he needed to get the undercut and get ahead of these guys. He's going to have everyone all over his gearbox behind that Mercedes SLS.
No. Harry, what happened, mate?
I stopped and turned into the pit wall.
Oh, you did a David Coulthard at Adelaide. Oh.
And it's nice that you've ripped on my commentary there, XRL Roberts.
I just do apologise.
Well, I mean, Harry, it looked like it was a very simple case. Keeping yourself out of trouble, because after that first stint when you ended up spinning into the wall, you just seemed to have quite a lot of clean air. Was it like just a loss in grip that caused you to go into the wall?
Bro, I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Okay, well that's an interesting one. I was basically saying, Harry, after the race at the start, when you had that initial incident, you ended up having the track to yourself and a lot of clean air. Was it just like a lack of grip that caused you to go into the pit wall?
Well, yeah, you know, you turn around the corner, right there, so I just stopped concentrating and just turned into that.
Oh dear. Well, moving on to the Hungaroring then, do you think you've got a better option and a better chance to get some more points there?
Yeah, like that track, so should be good.
Okay, well, unbelievable, we've got yet another retirement. We're down to just 8 runners and riders. There's definitely going to be a case of who can get forward for the spoils here. But commiserations on what happened there, Harry. Put your feet up and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Will do. See ya.
You know, while we got the safety car stoppage, meanwhile, I've got a flurry of messages coming through Xbox Live also, and LGS is correct. It was indeed Enio Salazar that Nelson Piquet smashed in the face. It's interesting because Salazar still had his helmet on, and if you go to F1Rejects.com, they've actually got like a Hall of Shame, and they have one for where like the drivers like got into fisticuffs, and they've got a great picture of it where you literally see full arm out like a massive jab, and the guy's over his helmet also had to fall over in the forest. It's brilliant. Simple one from Smitty Lad. Who replaced Yuji Ide in 2006? That would be Frank Montagnier before he went to race for Peugeot at Le Mans.
I can't believe we're actually doing a pub quiz already. We're not even halfway through this Grand Prix.
Well, we are on the safety
regular...
car, so we might as well enjoy the stoppage, really. We're on the safety car.
Yeah,
I could come and say and go, yes, he's taking the racing line very fast there. Well, he's not. Bert Mylander and his money. No, let's not do that. That'd be really boring. Crazy Fish, meanwhile,
but is it interesting? Do you think Bert Mylander here is going to get the second most laps led in this race after Captain Waiter? There's one for you.
Potentially, isn't it? I mean, obviously we only have one race leader so far, so it's one of the things. In fact, there's a point for you. In which race featured a fire truck lead in the Grand Prix for a while?
Oh God, I remember this one. I watched it as well, and
one of the most rejectful moments in F1 history.
I know it was. I can't remember which track it was now.
Well, I'm sure LGS or someone like that will be flooding in with their comments, so we'll wait for them to answer the question. It's quite a simple one. It's very, very easy. Meanwhile, Kanaka's trying to warm his tyres, but really struggling with his grip here. He's got to be careful, because if you go off the track, people can legitimately pass you. As Lewis Hamilton found out before he covered it up in 2009. So that's a crazy one. Oh, Sig Harry has lost connection, of course. Meanwhile, what does Smitty want? Yeah, it was indeed South Korea, famously where they sent the fire truck out to part of Mark Webber's car, didn't tell any of the drivers, and all the commentators were like, we've got the safety car on the track. Hang on, that's not a safety car. That's one of the most confusing moments in F1 history, it has to be said.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the most hilarious things I remember watching, it was actually from Canada 2011, I think it was, or 2012, where... the
Marshall fell over.
The Marshall fell over. That was one of my most favourite moments.
That would be funny, except for the fact that in 2013 a Marshall was killed. It just shows you how, you know, it's like, it's one of those things, they really need to improve that. Here's an interesting one for you from Crazy Fish. It says, which mid-grid driver shared the front row with Ayrton Senna at the 1991 Monaco Grand Prix? I think that's one of the few races I didn't watch. As we are back under racing here, the safety car has gone in, and Escassin has gone into the lead, but can he get the car stopped into turn 1? BHC can win it. Oh, side pod glitch! BHC can win it, facing the wrong way around. Connor Kay takes the lead as Escassin tries to wait for him. F1 Speed is now in P3, and I'm not sure who's to fault there, because it looked like the move was done, and immediately Escassin pulls off the racing line. F1 Speed goes through. John Digweed, so you've got to be fair to Escassin, he is trying to get the place back. John Digweed now in fourth position, eyeing up Escassin around the outside of the fourth chicane, and Escassin, I'm not sure if he's really trying it. Oh, getting on the brakes in the middle of the corner. John Digweed loses out big time there because both, as a result of that, the Lotus has gone through, followed by the sister Mercedes of Jordan.
Well, this race has definitely spiced up since that safety car period, and well, Conor Kay.
All it takes is a brief stoppage to change everything. Motorsport Nerd is now in 3rd place. And meanwhile, Ascassin is attacking the back of the Lotus. Evidently, we're not close enough to see the performance of here. Oh, we're going for a block move there for Jordan on the inside before the corner at the DRS. But Ascassin's got a chance to fly back on his teammate. Meanwhile, John Digweed looking to go around the outside. Ascassin's tumbling through the field like a wet plate in the ocean at the moment. Heading through the tight chicane at the end of the DRS straight as Jordan tries to go around the outside of the Lotus, goes through the chicane. He can't possibly take that move. He knows he'll get a penalty if he does. Now, BHA Captain Waits meanwhile, it's looking like he's down in 7th place behind John Digweed in the Ferrari, as Cassin is still unable to yield that place back to him. Not for lack of trying, it has to be said.
I wonder if he
and now Jordan has got being lined up by his teammate as Carson goes to the inside of the tight hairpin. Oh, Jordan's got to be careful, he doesn't turn in on him here. Jordan's got the best line out of the corner into the Mercedes arena, and John Digweed has a chance to turn 2, but John Digweed's just not got the pace.
I wonder if Ascassin thought that Irish Blue Gunner was actually Captain Waiter, and as soon as he saw that McLaren go through, he thought it was him, maybe.
It's possible, because it's not easy to keep track of that, isn't it? Meanwhile, behind, we've got these kind of corners right astern. You've got BHA Cap and Wader in 7th, and in 8th, Irish Blue Gunner. So they're actually not ahead of Ascassin. Neither McLaren driver has passed him. It's all been the Mercedes and the Lotuses and the Saubers. Oh, as Ascassin goes off, and a Dunlop hairpin. He's nearly spun the car, and now the position's been yielded. He's at the back of the grid. Ascassin will feel aggrieved, and it's been caused by a game glitch. And he'll be slamming his steering wheel in frustration. BHA Cap and Waiter, meanwhile, now has it all to do. He's going to try and do what Mark Webber failed to do at Japan in 2013 and recover from a crash early on in the race.
But one thing's for sure, both Conor Kay and F1 Speed have got a big gap already now over to 3rd place Motorsport Nerd. I can't believe that we're actually only halfway through this race. There's so much more that's to come.
And F1 Speed, meanwhile, doing a brilliant job and, well, very much on for a podium now. As Motorsport Nerd in 4th is starting to be caught by Jordan. Behind them, meanwhile, in 5th place, John Digweed is under pressure from BHA Captain Waiter. Captain Waiter evidently not wanting to wait around, and a flurry of messages have come in, so I'm going to try and get through these. Spinny Floyd was a Lacey who was on the grid. LGS reckons it was Stefano Medina for Tyrrell. A Lacey is another answer from Ryan, but Crazy Fish confirms it was indeed Stefano Medina. Points to you there, LGS, for knowing the answer to that one.
Thanks to LGS for knowing how to use Wikipedia.
Right, I think we're going to need a proper one-on-one quiz for the timer on this one, I think, to find out who knows more. John Digweed, meanwhile, in the Ferrari, broke away a little bit from BHA Captain Waiter. He's actually getting closer to Jordan, but Captain Waiter is sticking with him in the distance, and you get the feeling that Jordan Digweed's pace is not consistent enough to hold off the McLaren driver. As we head down towards the Dunlop hairpin, and you can really see the lead that's being opened up ahead of Motorsport Nerd now by both F1 Speed and also crucially by Conor Kay.
Yeah, Conor Kay is actually increasing his lead over F1 Speed, who in turn is increasing his gap over Motorsport Nerd. So Conor Kay is in the pound seat at the moment with 14 laps to go, but
BHA Captain Waiter was in those pound seats. Look what happened there. It's very easy for this to reverse and go for a 180 in a heartbeat, especially with the rain conditions, which have started slacking off. The rain is starting to stop, and the track appears to be drying. I get the feeling that by about lap 23, you might see a dry line. Oh, as John Digweed goes through the chicane at the end of the lap, and BHA Captain Waiter gobbles him up immediately. Whether that's because John Digweed led him through or not is another matter, but he still takes that critical place. He's now running 5th.
I've just received a message from LGS, put in big capital letters, "How dare you, I don't cheat."
John Digweed, meanwhile, looks at the side of BHA Captain Waiter down into turn 1, and he gets the inside line as Kevin goes on the marbles, but just about gets the extra traction as John Digweed got very squirrely on the power. LGS claims he doesn't cheat. Well, I believe him for now. He certainly knows his stuff.
For the time being, I think I will.
John Digweed now looking at the back of BHA Captain Waiter, who's not been able to break away from him despite getting past. And into the forward chicane, he goes very deep there, BHA Captain Waiter. And if he does that too much, he'll find himself at risk of going on the marbles. Meanwhile, ahead of these guys, we've got another scrap going on here, because all of a sudden Jordan has caught to the back of Motorsport Nerd. So Motorsport Nerd is under pressure for that podium position.
Tell you what, actually, I think F1 Speed he doesn't seem to be that quick on these intermediate tyres. I think actually Motorsport maybe starting to catch him, but, well, maybe it's just me, but the gap seems to be reducing ever so slightly.
John Digweed really kept BHA Captain Waiter honest here. He stuck with him. Going on to the DRS straight, of course, no DRS due to the conditions. And look at this now, we're in a potential double overtake move here, as we've got Jordan going at the outside of Motorsport Nerd in the final chicane, as John Digweed also takes a look. Getting into the final corner, has Jordan went over the inside. Looked like he went all 4 times off. Motorsport Nerd goes wide, and BHA Captain Waiter takes the position, but it dives into the pits, and so as well does the Mercedes of Jordan. Well, that's interesting. So these guys are dived in.
Second place F1 Speed is also in the pits. But in regards to that move with Motorsport Nerd and Jordan, Motorsport Nerd did nudge Jordan off the track a little bit, so I don't think there was much Jordan could have done about that. That wasn't his fault that he went off.
Well, in the meantime, that's something to review by the stewards. But behind John Digweed in 4th place now, we've got Ascassin who's got himself back into the back ahead of BHA Captain Waiter. But of course, Captain Waiter will be on the thresher rubber, and we saw in the first stint how much of a gap he increased by purely by stopping that 1 lap earlier, getting the tyres out of the way as John Digweed gets poor traction as we head down the RTL straight towards the 4th chicane. Ascassin gets the inside line, keeps close to the apex. John Digweed gives him room, goes deep round the outside NASCAR style, and hangs on for now. But Ascassin will be looking to gobble him up through the Dunlop hairpin and through the Schumacher Asses. He's got a lot of his cars available. Ascassin's got a great chance here as we head into the Dunlop hairpin, and once again John Digweed goes a little wider. Ascassin takes a more tighter line. John Digweed gets poor traction, so Ascassin's got a great opportunity here. Off for the Schumacher Asses.
Sorry, Chris, go on.
Yeah, Ascassin look, he might have had a chance, but he's had to sit back for now. But he'll fancy going to either the chicane or to the Coca-Cola hairpin.
At the same time, though, they're still closing in on Motorsport Nerd. It's, you know, really good close battle between these guys, these 3 people.
Motorsport Nerd is keeping these guys honest at the front. As meanwhile, John Digweed sees Ascassin getting close to him. Better on the brakes, Ascassin, but he realises he's just too far away to take a look up the inside. As Motorsport Nerd dives for the box, John Digweed goes round the Coca-Cola hairpin. Ascassin follows him, so these guys are not stopping straight away. It's going to be interesting to see if this can affect the race. F1 Speed, having pitted, is already in P5, and he's going to come out way ahead of Motorsport Nerd. He's going to at least have 10-15 seconds. And Ascassin, he's in real danger because F1 Speed is already on the start-finish straight. He hits the bollard that's been knocked over by somebody. John Digweed, meanwhile, starts the second turn, and he's opened up a bit of a gap over Ascassin all of a sudden. Maybe John Digweed's tyres have just come back to him.
Yeah, you see he's sliding around all over the place. I think just because Ascassin, when he hit that bollard, he went wide. I think he got the auto brake by going off the track, so he probably lost a good half a second, but I think he'll close that gap right up straight away.
Well, I'll just try and go back through the field to see if we've got any closer battles. F1 Speed out on his own in 4th. That's got Jordan in 5th place, and then behind Jordan is BHA Captain Waiter. So BHA Captain Waiter definitely keeping in touch with Jordan and the Mercedes in P6. Then down in P7, Motorsport Nerd has come out way down the back of that pit stop. Irish Blue Gun is not too far away from it. He's not really in the contention at all. Then Connor Kay has got a big lead here. I'd say that's about 15 seconds plus. He's way out in front at the moment. But at the same time, John Digweed is second, has then got Ascassin behind him, and F1 Speed is not that far behind them. So F1 Speed has a chance to lead Connor Kay when Connor Kay decides to go for the box. But Connor Kay has still stayed out. I think what these guys are waiting for is the line to dry, because the rain is getting less intense. But they are on the older rubber. So the guys like F1 Speed and BHA Captain Waiter will be catching them hand over fist.
The thing with Connor Kay, though, is he's one driver who can make his tyres last a lot longer than other people in this division. He might not have the quickest overall pace in terms of a 1-lap distance, but, 10 laps in, on a stint, he's very consistent and he can make his tyres last a lot longer, as I mentioned. So I think he's probably thinking of maybe not even stopping again, or perhaps if he is going to stop, maybe not for the next couple of laps at least.
Well, we've had a question from Smithy Lad. This is one that's going to spark a debate here because there's technically no real answer. He simply said, I've been told I can't answer this. I'm banished to the black hole. Apparently, he wants to know, who is the worst F1 team ever? Ooh. That's one that's big up for debate because there are many answers which could count that one, in my opinion.
I've already got one in mind already, and that's Spiker.
I wouldn't agree with that. Spiker got points.
Who would you go with?
Well, I've been told that I can't answer, so until Spinny Lad gives me permission to answer, I can't say.
Damn it.
F1 Speed, meanwhile, has caught up very, very quickly now to the back of Ascassin. So look at that for a big game. Ascassin, who hasn't stopped, has got F1 Speed already all over him.
This doesn't bode well for Connor then. If Connor's staying out to start too long, I wonder if Connor's actually going to the pit.
Ascassin takes a look at John Digweed. He gets a better line into the hairpin. He gets on the brakes nice and late. Can he get it? Oh, he's got all 4 tyres over the inside. He's going to have to let it go. And meanwhile, F1 Speed goes past and splits the pair of them, helped by the fact that John Digweed went for the pits. Well, that's not the point. F1 Speed takes second place.
Connor K has made his pit stop. He's just left his box now. What if he's going to be overtaken by
F1 Speed's going to have the lead.
He does. He has the
By
lead.
quite a distance as well, because Ascassin has followed F1 Speed, and he might fancy a go down to turn 1 here. Ascassin, oh, nearly spins the car, gets really poor traction, and now in P3, we've got Connor K, who's about 4 seconds, maybe 3 seconds behind F1 Speed, being chased very quickly by Jordan and BHA Captain Waiter.
This race is definitely hot up. Oh, Ascassin, he's all over the place. He's got too much.
He's just got no grip, has it? Oh, Connor K, outside, all 4 tyres off the track, and Jordan has a chance to attack here. Oh, but back and wire! Is he going to line the pair of him into the fourth chicane? He's just too far behind with a great pass on Jordan. Definitely a superb piece there. And all of a sudden, BHA Capoeira into the slipstream of Connor K, who's trying to attack him meanwhile ahead of the sister Mercedes. But he's just not confident to attack Ascassin. Ascassin goes wide. Connor K slips on the inside. BHA Capoeira almost misses contact. Ascassin goes off the track. And all 3 drivers, meanwhile, Connor K, BHA Capoeira, and also the sister Mercedes of Jordan go through. We've got a 3-car trade for second place. F1 Speed has a gap of 4 seconds about meanwhile.
This race is hotting up here, lap by lap. That incident, I think, is Ascassin's fault. He turned into Connor then. His tyres are completely
As I say,
gone.
I mean, all incidents are reviewed after the stream, but definitely. Oh, as BHA got away, goes on 4 tyres over the inside and clips the inside sleeping policeman.
What? He's back in the box. He's back in the
What's
pit.
he back in the box for? Why has he gone back in the pits? Why has F1 Speed returned already? Why would he do that? There's no drive-through penalty, so it's not that. What's he going for?
He's
wet! He's gone for full wet!
But
surely it's not wet enough. The rain's not coming down anywhere near hard. There's very little puddles on track. He had the lead. Why did he do that? Remember when Ralph Schumacher did that at a Spa for Toyota in about 2004? He went from leading by about 30 seconds to crashing out. Listen to the throttle on F1 Speed. He can't get the power down.
Well, let's see if he catches up to the 2 guys in front, which is John Digweed and Irish Blue Gunner.
He goes off 4 tyres over the inside at the end of the arena section, and John Digweed now has a chance to attack Irish Blue Gunner into the 4th chicane, but he's just not got the grip at the moment. Going to move forward for that duel, and these guys are indeed pulling away from Speed. Speed has thrown away a podium in an absolutely farcical piece of pit strategy there, almost as bad as when Toyota put the medium tyres on at the Bahrain Grand Prix in 2009 and threw away a 1-2 as John Digweed goes past Irish Blue Gunner, who went too deep on the Dunlop hairpin.
Yeah, it's definitely not wet. There are puddles starting to form on the track, but it's definitely nowhere near wet enough for wet tyres yet. So F1 Speed, I think he's just cost himself a victory, if not more than a podium.
Raikkonen went on monsoon tyres at Malaysia.
Yeah.
LGS's answer to the worst team ever, Red Bull. Yeah, 4 times Constructors' Championships, worst team ever. Don't think many people would agree with that one.
I would. I'd agree with him.
Now, in terms of overall performance, you can't take that away from Red Bull. Yeah, that would be ridiculously unfair.
If you take Mark Webber out of the equation, then I mean, if you just got Sebastian Vettel, then yeah, worst team ever. Worst driver
so, meanwhile,
ever.
Smitty Lad, what's he said? He's listed the answer as MasterCard Lola. Well, to be fair, they managed 1 Grand Prix when they were 14 seconds off the pace. But in terms of they at least turned up and gave up when they realised they had no chance. My other arguments for the worst team are, first of all, the aforementioned Life W12, who focused on a silly engine concept that simply didn't work, and a car that just never had a hope. Let's not forget Andrea Moda, who almost killed Perry McCarthy at Spa by sending him out knowing that his steering column was broken, and they knew about it. Let's also not forget the 40 course F1 team, who in their first season managed to be 4 seconds a lot slower than Pacific. In a mystery that science cannot explain. They were simply one of the worst teams of all time. John Digby getting a great run here on the back of what looks to be the Lotus, and that will be a great opportunity to attack Motorsport Nerd here. I keep forgetting the system. Well, he's already got past him. Motorsport Nerd goes off. John Digby moves on to 4th.
I'll tell you what, Swish, that rain is coming down heavy at F1 speed. He's on the wets. He's all over the back of these two now. He's definitely wet where the tyres now.
Well, this is interesting. Let's go back to the backfield. Indeed, he is. He's already drove past Motorsport Nerd, who's stuck on the inside for the chicane. And F1 Speed's had to cut the chicane because of it. And F1 Speed surely gained an advantage there. He didn't let them go past. Yeah, they were going for the pits, but he passed them, having cut the chicane.
I wonder if he's done a clever thing now by going on these wet tyres earlier. Is he going to jump the 3 leaders?
It's going to be very, very close here. It's going to be extremely close.
He's side by side with Connor into turn 1.
Connor goes too deep at turn 1. F1 Speed's got the potential undercut here, but Connor, I think he's just going to hang on. F1 Speed, maybe he went in just too early.
I think, yeah, 1 lap too early maybe. If he came in the next lap, he definitely would have been ahead, but it was a bold strategy, but he's actually lost 4 or 5 seconds out of this in the end.
Exactly, yeah. So when you're leading, you don't need to act, you need to react. You need to you don't have as much to lose. The guys in the middle order, the guys like Irish Blue Gunner, who should be gambling on things like that, they've got nothing to lose. They're the kind of drivers you'd expect to be the ones who go and make such a move.
Well, what this does do now is the front 4 are now probably, there's no more than 4 seconds at least, I'd say, covering top 4, if not even less than that. So
maybe we're in for another Harama in 1981 when Gilles Villeneuve won and 4 cars followed him over less than 2 seconds apart.
Well, if we could have something like that, that would just be, well, that would be tremendous.
BHA Capoeira getting a great run here in the back of F1 Speed, and we know that. F1 Speed's got too wide into the gravel, lost a load of speed. BHA Capoeira is all over him like a rash, and BHA Capoeira forced to the outside by F1 Speed. Speed will have the natural angle, but BHA Capoeira is not intimidating, and he forces F1 Speed to go through the chicane. BHA Capoeira choreographed that beautifully, and now all of a sudden we've also got the sister Mercedes all over the back of F1 Speed. Jordan has now got a great opportunity to get onto the podium. F1 Speed has terrible drive off the Coca-Cola hairpin. Jordan now using the curves down towards the Yokohama hairpin at the end of the straight. Great opportunity to make a move here. F1 Speed gets squirrely on the brakes. He's forced wide. Jordan takes the tighter line. Can he get the drop at the corner? F1 Speed goes potentially off the track into the Mercedes arena. Jordan gets the move done. F1 Speed second to 4th in only 2 corners. And again he's gone wide. All of a sudden he's lost all grip. In fact, he almost went into the wall. What's going on with F1 Speed's car all of a sudden?
I think his tyres have gone. I think that those couple of laps that he did to begin with have just torn his tyres to shreds, and he's just not got the grip compared to the guys ahead of him.
Exactly what I'm saying. You have to react at the right time, and it looks like F1 Speed has called this all wrong here as we enter into the final stages of this German Grand Prix in the F4000 division. Coverage brought to you by GT Omega Racing and GamePod.co.uk. And boy, has this been an entertaining race. Lots of things have happened tonight. Plenty of incidents to review.
Just a quick shout out from Lee here. He's mentioned to me to give a shout out to the Grid Autosport Leagues, which will be starting, well, pretty much once the game's out, really. We'll be doing BTCC and F3 leagues, so if you're interested, get on the forum, sign up, and, well, if you want to race in either or both of them, just let him know.
There you go, that was something I was waiting for a lull in the action to do, but I never got round to it, so there you go. Bobbett's to the rescue on this one. BHA Capoeira, meanwhile, trying to close up to Connor Kay. Gap is about the same as it was on the previous lap. It's a question of how these guys are lapping compared to each other. Connor Kay's in the 35 for his best lap. Capoeira's in the 34th. But now the conditions are wet, those would go out to the 39s you'd expect.
Yeah, Captain Ware did a low 39 on that lap. I think he was a couple of tenths quicker than Connor than in the previous lap, so he needs to find a few more tenths, I think, to give him a run for his money. But those two are pulling away from Jordan in third. I don't think he's got the pace on these wet tyres.
Going into turn 3, BHA Captain Wade has got a great opportunity to attack the back of Connor Kay in the Lotus. A great opportunity here, really close to the back. Has Cassie's destroyed his vehicle? What's he done?
He spun on the curb at the end of the second sector. He spun on the curb, and if you crash into the wall, that's it. Your race is done.
No sign of yellow flags at the moment. We might have avoided another safety car. That would have changed the game. As Cassin, well, talk about throwing away your race. He's now down and out again. We're really running low on drivers. There's been a race of attrition here at the Nürburgring. Green held the Nordschleife. How much would those guys have found fancy driving F1 cars around there, I wonder? Needless to say, they found it difficult here at the Nürburgring GP layout. I think they're grateful they're not taking on the green hell this time. And Scarsi, it seemed like you had the pace, you had a lot of performance. Then we had that incident at turn 1 where, like a side pod glitch, lost his second place. And unfortunately, it appears you've just fallen out of the race itself. What happened?
As soon as that thing with Waiter happened, I just sort of lost all my concentration and I just started failing and going on the grid. And then there was that bit that I stayed at one lap too long and spun. And then when I got onto the wets, I kept on. I didn't mean to crash my car. I don't mind that it happened, but do I get the points?
Unfortunately, if you don't finish, you don't get the points, I'm afraid. Those are the rules. If you retire, or if you fail to make it to the end of the race, you don't get the points. That was the rule brought in this season.
Isn't it like, 80% of the race complete, you get the points though?
No, that's only if it's red flag.
If it's red flags.
Can someone red flag it?
No. BHA Captain White has got a great chance here. He's getting closer and closer to Connor Kay as we enter into the Dunlop hairpin. The gap now down to about 2 seconds here. In the meantime, commiserations to you there, it's Cassie. Hopefully you'll have better luck at next week's Hungaroring round in Hungary.
I doubt it. I'll try. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Well, in the meantime then, we're on board with second place BHA Captain Wader, who's trying to get close to Connor Kay, but Connor Kay is resisting, and you get the feeling that this might be a great recovery drive from BHA Captain Wader, having lost so much time after that incident with the aforementioned Carson. He's now got himself right back in striking distance for the win, but he's running out of laps. There's only 3 available, and Connor Kay, he did make a mistake on the previous lap. But then BHA Capoeira misses the chicane, goes through, and that's something he can ill afford to do, because that's gained him an advantage there. That gap has visibly shrunk as a result of that. The last thing he wants is to lose these positions, courtesy of a penalty.
Well, the problem for Captain Ware that he's already got is he has a 10-second penalty that's added onto his race time anyway, so that's the only issue that he's really got for this race from last week's mistakes that he made.
Well, it's an interesting question from Spinella56, asking who do we think will replace Jenson Button once he leaves McLaren? Well, it depends on when and what the circumstances of his leaving are. If rumours are to be believed, he's out of contract this year and hasn't signed a new one. Now, if McLaren decide against him, the smart money is that they want to throw the world at getting Fernando Alonso back to the team. But if that doesn't happen, I'd say it's going to be between 2 very different drivers. The first of the one is Nico Hulkenberg, who has proven himself many times to be capable of driving very poor machinery and would be an asset to a team like McLaren. But the second one, who I think could happen, is Roman Grosjean, purely because of his relationship with Eric Boullier.
Now here's one, boys, which actually I disagree with both of those. Because I've heard of some rumours today. Oh, Captain Ware nearly loses it just on a different note. But yeah, going back to it,
nearly goes off talking about McLaren, nearly jinxes his race.
But I've heard some rumours actually on some websites today through their newspapers that Hamilton could be going back because of his relationship with Rosberg and what's happened this season.
Well, the problem there is that Hamilton caused a lot of negative press about McLaren when he left. Anyone who saw his second interview on Top Gear, he kept on talking about one of the reasons he left was on the marketing thing. And when Jeremy Clarkson was like, oh yes, we hate that, and started faux posing like he was advertising perfume, and he's saying, yeah, why don't you just say, if you want to keep me, stop me advertising this rubbish. And he appeared to agree with it. So McLaren would have to do a lot of backpedaling on slagging off the team and also potentially the sponsors. The key thing, though, is Hamilton would attract other sponsors to the team. So he's definitely an asset, but, again, it's a question of what his relationship would be with someone like Kevin Magnussen. Ever since Jenson Button joined McLaren and he's gone to Mercedes and Nico Rosberg, when Hamilton's had a teammate of equal potential, as he did with Fernando Alonso, the toys have come out of the pram. I get the feeling he fancies himself too much as like Ayrton Senna, who wants to be the number one driver and no hoper like Johnny Dumfries as his number two.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to when he had Heikki Kovalainen as a teammate, he definitely thought, this is somebody who I can perhaps push around a little bit, and he's perhaps not on the same level as I am, so I don't have to worry about him if he's going to battle with me, for a title. Oh, Captain Ware, he's just done the same thing again, 2 laps in a row. Is it going
he needs to be careful because he saw what happened to the Williams earlier in the race, who hit that curve and went into the wall when we lost Harry. He's somebody he can't afford, and he needs to settle down and settle for second place now, I think. There's only 1 lap to go after this, and he's not going to close the gap to Connor unless a mistake is made. And all this overdriving is bringing Jordan closer to his diffuser. BHA Captain Wade has got to be careful.
Yeah, he's just got to make sure he keeps on the track, and perhaps he's just trying to ensure that maybe he's got a 10-second gap over F1 Speed, who has just dropped off completely from the back of these 3.
Yeah, I mean, F1 Speed has just done a 1:41.4 for his lap time. I'm sure Captain Waiter and Connor were in the 39s.
These guys are in the late 39s, low 40s now, coming on to the end of the race. So yeah, he's about a second and a half slower than these guys each lap. So
Jordan goes all 4 tyres over the inside again. Definitely not the way that you want to do that towards the end of your race. Meanwhile, LGS, he actually thinks that Stefan Van Dorn might replace Jenson Button. It's potential, but the problem is, if they did that, they'd have pretty much 2 rookies at the top in Kevin Magnussen and Stefan Van Dorn. And I can't see a top team like McLaren doing that.
The perfect combination, in my view, is get one rookie as it is, who's maybe just joined in, or maybe he's done a season or 2. And then your other driver, make sure he's done quite a few seasons, perhaps he's even a world champion. You've got like a perfect combination then, really, haven't you?
Well, exactly. You've got the old and the new, and you only have to look back at some of the more successful team pairings in the past. I mean, you look at Michael Schumacher and Felipe Massa, for instance. Look at Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello as well. Going back to the mid '90s, when you had some of the other drivers' pairings at McLaren, like when you had Ayrton Senna and Mika Hakkinen, for example. So you definitely look how fruitful that was. Ayrton Senna, multiple world champion. Mika Hakkinen, multiple world champion. Also, you've seen this kind of pairings many times before. Meanwhile, race ends, of course, with Conor Kay taking 3rd place, and then second was BHA Capoeira with Jordan behind him. Jordan will take that position because of the 10th place penalty. F1 Speed, meanwhile, on a very slow lap here, in the 43s when he completes his lap to finish 4th on the circuit. John Digweed is in 6th place, as 7th place is Irish Blue Gunner way at the bottom.
Jordan has a 10-second penalty himself added from the game.
Well, we all need to know exactly what that's for, because, of course, it might be something that gets taken off. And if that gets taken off, it won't affect the result. Meanwhile, on the stream, a couple more messages have come in. LGS saying, what about Kimi? Indeed, what about him? He's another great driver I could have mentioned. I'm just saying that all these drivers have worked together. Smitty Lad reckons they might bring Perez back. Can't see that because there was quite a few comments, apparently, especially after Abu Dhabi last season, when Jenson Button still almost finished right behind him despite having a major incident and losing about 30 seconds. F1 Speed, meanwhile, is 11 seconds. No, he's 14 seconds behind BHA Capoeira. So Capoeira will not be supplanted by F1 Speed. Now the question is, will Jordan finish off the podium? Let's get these guys invited in here so we can find out their comments. On track, of course, we saw it was Connor from BHA Capoeira and then Jordan at the back of the podium. Of course, the results are provisional. Nothing is yet confirmed. Well, so Connor, we'll go over to you firstly. A race where initially it looked like the eventual second place BHA Capoeira had the pace on you, but then after the first pit stops, the safety car that came out in force, you seem to be able to sweep on by, and then from there, almost like you controlled the pace, though there was that initial situation when F1 Speed got the drop on you. Were you expecting to take the win here today?
I didn't expect it halfway through. I expected a podium.
because I knew I had to pace with the guys at the top. But luckily, things went my way in the race. I mean, but it's more happy about the fact that Ryan and Alan couldn't finish, so I managed to get the drop on them in the championship. But yeah, it was a lucky win of stages. I mean, Captain waited a spin out at the middle of the race, and yeah, I'm happy to be at the top, but lucky.
Well, so, I mean, you managed to get the pace done with the conditions obviously being wet throughout. Did you expect it at some point to dry up, or were you always conscious you may find yourself on the wet tyres at the end?
It seemed to always be the wets. Well, there was the call 10 laps into the race of heavy rain in 15 minutes, so it was then a matter of who could judge the heavy rain the best, but I just about managed to keep it at the speed, and then was happy to just about keep the pace and get the win.
Oh, congratulations to you. In the meantime, then, Cataway, we'll go over to you. A race where initially for the first half it looked like it was definitely in your favour. You had the gap, you were ahead of the guys like Connor, like Kaskassin, who were battling. After the safety car, though, Kaskassin appeared to get the drop on you, and then there was that incident which totally turned the field on its head. Did you expect to be able to recover to get yourself back on the podium?
I didn't expect to recover from where I was, but I just thought in the back of my mind, well, I had the pace and it was going to get wetter. So just carry on going as I was and just never give up. And just, yeah, never know at the end of the race result what's going to happen. So.
I mean, we did see a couple of moments on the final couple of laps, around about turn 13, where you seemed to dip your toe a bit too far on the curb and nearly lose the car. Were you conscious of trying to back off a little bit without putting yourself at risk from Jordan behind?
At that point, well, when I realised I was in a podium position, I almost tried to catch up to Connor, but as soon as Connor got ahead, there was no point in catching him. It was just every time I went wide at that corner, it's the AstroTurf on the edge almost spun me off. I'm glad to finish where I was, considering all that's happened.
Well, congratulations to you then. Enjoy the podium position. Meanwhile, Jordan, we'll go over to you then. Having seen the pace of your teammate early on, and with yourself being possibly caught out at the start, did you expect to find yourself as the lead Mercedes on the podium today?
I'm going to be truthful and say, yeah, you would make a mistake. I know he's too inconsistent to manage a whole race in the end. I expected them a few mistakes and I was right.
I mean, obviously, we did have the incident between Captain and also your teammate as well, which definitely made a big difference here. But with the rain conditions and the varying performance from the guys like F1 Speed and also from Motorsport Nerd, did you think you'd still have enough in hand to be able to keep the position?
Well, I usually have to speed up Waiter and Connor. I was trying to keep the gap, and like I said, Speed went on the pace to burn his pace down off at the end, so I wasn't as worried about that. And at the beginning, as you said, Motorsport, I was just trying to, be conservative throughout the race, but gain on him. So yeah, I kind of expected it, but not over speed. I didn't expect him to drop on the last couple of laps. I thought I'd just lose it or something.
Okay, well, big congratulations to all three of you then. Moving forward, of course, next week it will be the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix here in the F4000. Also, shout out to the GP3 guys. They were on air on Simulcast tonight with Sharky and also Psychic Taco in the box there. Now, tomorrow night is another Simulcast for you. It's F5000 and T6. I believe that F1 Speed and Dan Fisk will be bringing respective coverage on that on both Channel 1 and Channel 2. Keep an eye out there. Also, there will be a Classics race on Saturday. No idea if that will be streamed. That's something you got to keep an eye out for. And on Sunday, well, we're off to Hungary, Budapest, for the 10th round of the F1 division. It'll be interesting to see if these guys can put up another exciting race like we saw here at the Nürburgring. And again, it's been tough, it's been wet, it's been hard. And it's been brought to you by GT Omega Racing, GamePod.co.uk. Thank you all very much for watching, and good night.